What's up, you guys? I am trying out the new sort of vlog setup. We're on a iPhone 14 Pro with cinematic mode, and actually all of the footage you've seen so far, this beginning of this video, has been shot on the iPhone 14 Pro, either in ProRes 4K or cinematic mode on the iPhone, which is ridiculous. This is the Fuji XT30 Mark II with a Voigtlander 23, Fuji XT30 Mark II with a Voigtlander 23 1.2. Super compact. I'm probably going to make a video about this at some point. X100V Killer, potentially. It just makes it so much easier. It just makes it so much easier to vlog and stuff, because I brought out my bigger XT4 with my 10-18 and my 18 1.4 with an ND filter, and I know this isn't like perfect, but when you think about like the highlights behind me, I'm in focus, the shadows, like I'm properly exposed, this is properly exposed, and I'm not doing anything and the phone is doing all the work. That's ridiculous. Just the fact that it's just my phone, I don't have to think about it, that's phenomenal. I'm gonna start heading back and cut a video together. I mean, look at this, I just moved my arm, look at this, the sun, look at this. I mean, it does look artificially like sharpened, and I know I've seen like complaints with, I just don't think you can beat the quality of what you're getting on a phone with what, I mean, I know it's artificial, the background sharpening and stuff, and the over sharpening and the background blur sort of is artificial, but I just don't think you can beat that ease of use and portability with just a phone. And think of, I mean, I have an entire backpack full of camera gear, and I only probably use the main XT4 for a couple minutes. The sun wasn't right, you know, lighting. Sure, don't get me wrong, if you light it properly and expose everything, and you have, you know, you got your NDs dialed in, you got your exposure settings locked in, yeah, it looks great. But in terms of vlogging and just kind of walking around and doing this kind of thing, and I had to get set up quick, I wanted to kind of catch the sunrise, I don't think you can beat the phone for ease of use. Also, just a quick side note, I wanted to check out the stabilization on the phone with walking. See, my face looks a little funky. You can see it's like trying to kind of keep up with all the dynamic lighting situations that that being outside sort of presents, but looks fairly stable. I think it's going to look a lot worse once I get it onto the computer, but I mean, oh god, I'm getting tan lines. Oh, and yeah. What's up, guys? So everything you just saw up until right now was shot on the iPhone 14 Pro, either in cinematic mode or in ProRes, which it's crazy that a phone can shoot ProRes and 48 megapixel raw photos. I was trying out a new vlogging setup, essentially, and so I brought my XT4, I brought the XT30 and the iPhone 14 Pro, and I ended up shooting 90% of that intro, or all of the intro for that matter, on the iPhone 14 Pro. And I know that there are some subtle differences. Some of the footage is just artificially over sharpened. The way it's sort of doing the cinematic mode, if you will, and getting that blurry background is a bit different, and it's kind of iPhone-esque looking, like you can tell it's shot on an iPhone, but I found that the ease of use, just in terms of the phone and having to not think about getting the settings set up right on the XT4, getting the ND filters on, and then shooting other stuff with my other camera, I could just set the phone up, not think about it, and then focus on the videos, which I think if if you're looking at sort of pros and cons of both, the quality is going to be better, obviously, on the X-T4 on a mirrorless full-size camera. But if you're just shooting quick clips out in the field to maybe later cut into a video like this, I think that the iPhone 14 Pro definitely is fine in 90% of instances. I picked up the Fuji XT30 Mark II about 2 to 3 weeks ago after kind of extensive searching for a X100V, an X Pro 3. My couple videos ago I did a video comparing the Leica Q2 with the X Pro 3 and my thoughts sort of on both. I did end up actually selling the X Pro 3. I just couldn't get used to that back screen with the flip down screen and the film simulations. Well, it's cool in theory. I just rely on the screen on the back way too much for focusing and just for reviewing images, so it didn't really work for my needs essentially. I think one of the things that I was looking for with a camera was sort of a compact body that you could just kind of throw in a camera bag and not really have to think about too much. So I was looking at the X100V, but if you've been at all keeping up on the Fuji side of things, they're basically impossible to get, and they're going for way over what they should be, which I've seen anything between like $1,800 to over $2,000 for a camera that probably should have really only been about maybe sub $1,200, maybe $1,000 if that. So that's sort of how I landed on this guy here, the XT30 Mark II with a Voigtlander 23 1.2 lens. That's kind of really all I have for this one. It's sort of just a short, I really wanted to just talk about the XT30 setup that I've been using and showcasing some of those images, because I shoot film. I've shot film for 20 years probably now, and I don't think that digital is going to necessarily replace film, and we're seeing a huge spike in people shooting film. I've linked them before, but my buddy's shop, Norwich Camera, sells film cameras, film developing, anything you can think of. Please go support them, check them out. But I think just with the uprise in film shooting and film shooters and the push for people doing more film, I don't think you're going to see digital. It's an interesting time because digital for the longest time just replaced film. People are like, oh, I'm done with film. I'm not shooting film anymore. I'm fully digital now. And that was sort of the big thing back in, I think, maybe the early 2000s, late 90s, when digital cameras started coming out. And now you're starting to see more people going back to film. But I find that I love shooting film and the slow process of shooting film. But I find a lot of times that it's tough to, just getting film developed can be expensive. The film itself can be expensive. And I think I'm sort of in between having something in the middle ground. And I found the XT30 to be really that middle ground for me, which was, I don't think it's going to replace film cameras, and people are going to still shoot film. I love shooting film. I wanted something in between the film side of things and the ease of use, and sort of getting back into what I enjoy about photography, which is just sort of taking images. And I think with digital, it's super easy to get caught up on just making sure everything's super sharp and dialing in focus and just perfection. But I found that shooting on film slows me down a bit and sort of forces me to just get back to the fundamentals of photography, like framing, composition, lighting. And I think that's more fun for me when I'm shooting for myself. So I found that the match between the digital and film side of things with the XT30 Mark II with that manual focus lens and the film simulations gives me that nostalgic sort of feeling of shooting on film and the graininess and sort of the imperfections that come along with it. So I'm probably going to cap it here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any ideas for future videos or anything that you'd like to see on the channel. I'd like to actually get to posting somewhat regularly and making videos that I just enjoy doing, because this is something fun that I kind of like. And I don't know if anybody actually watches these, but if you do, great. If you're not watching them, you're missing out. And if you're watching these and enjoying them, give me a thumbs up. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time. Peace.